A river crossing in Nottingham, England, has reportedly become somewhat of a tourist attraction in recent years. Christened the Rufford Ford, it is part of the Rainworth Water River, which commuters have to cross to get to the other side. The ford is nestled in the English countryside with a narrow patch of tarmac passing under a canopy of trees. A YouTuber's recent video showcases several Tesla cars easily trundling past the ford, which appears deep enough to submerge a Model 3's headlights. The water levels ebb and flow depending on the weather, and The Guardian reported that social media fueled a car-gazing craze at the spot. The report also said that after rains, the crossing can be several feet deep and 30 feet wide. It's quite impressive how Teslas get through without any hiccups. It's common knowledge that EV batteries and drivetrains are water-sealed and can sustain water exposure for brief periods of time. The same cannot be said about all internal combustion engine cars, which may be limited by their air intakes, exhaust, and possibly other elements as well, unless they're engineered to be go-anywhere rough terrain tackling SUVs. Although one Model S user, owner of an older version of the EV, said his car failed after driving in the rain, Musk has made similar claims about the upcoming Cybertruck, which can apparently cross rivers, lakes, and even seas that aren't too choppy. It's safe to say that if you encounter small and shallow water crossings, your Tesla is likely to drive past comfortably. Teslas have earned top safety ratings from the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. As for boating claims, I'd regard those with caution. It does look very, very futuristic, doesn't it? Bellweather is one of many companies betting on flying cars and the solution to a pollution problem, or at least part of the solution. Technically, the vehicles they're developing are called electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles because they're battery powered, and you guessed it, take off and land vertically like helicopters. Because they don't need a runway, eVTOLs could operate from rooftops, parking garages, or even driveways, carrying people from one part of the city to the other without contributing to street traffic or emitting CO2 or harmful air pollutants. Bellweather calls its flying car the Volar, and it looks like what you'd get if the Batmobile mated with a flying saucer, and I'm down with it. On January 12th, the company shared a video of a half-scale prototype flying untethered for the first time. This remote-controlled prototype, named Antelope, can only hit an altitude of 13 feet and a top speed of 25 miles per hour. Bellweather says the full-scale Volar will seat 4 or 5 people with a top altitude of 3,000 feet and a top speed of 135 miles per hour. And it will have enough battery power for a 1-hour flight at max payload. Bellweather's goal is to have its flying car on the market by 2028, and these untethered test flights of a prototype put it closer to reaching that goal. Even if the full-sized Volar flies how the company wants it to, eVTOLs won't be zipping across the city skies until regulators can figure out how to certify them and how to manage the airspace the vehicles plan to traverse. Flying car makers will also need to win over the public to bring their vision of urban transportation to fruition, and no doubt many people will be hesitant to risk their lives in the vehicles, at least initially, even if they do look cool and can cut down on commute times. The Rimac Nevera is an absolute beast. This 1900 horsepower electric hypercar has been setting records left and right, from becoming the world's fastest electric car to tackling the Nuremberg Ring in just over 7 minutes, and many more. So the folks at Rimac have had to get creative to find a new challenge, but find one they did. This time the Rimac Nevera has set a Guinness World Record for the fastest speed in reverse. This harrowing feat saw the Nevera back up at a top speed of 171.34 miles per hour. In the onboard footage, you can see the view from the cockpit as the landscape recedes into the distance faster and faster. The vehicle data is interesting as well, with the torque being distributed between the front and rear wheels, and the steering correction as the car drifts ever so slightly off the center line. It's all a bit disorienting. So how did Rimac find itself aiming the rear end of the Nevera towards such a record? It occurred to us during development that the Nevera would probably be the world's fastest car in reverse. But we kinda laughed it off, said the chief program engineer. The aerodynamics, cooling, and stability hadn't been engineered for traveling backwards at speed after all, but then we started to talk about how much fun it would be to give it a shot. The simulation showed that we could achieve well over 150 miles per hour, but we didn't have much of an idea of how stable it would be. We were entering uncharted territory. It's hard to imagine driving in reverse at such speeds, and as the test driver can attest, it's an odd experience. On the run itself, it definitely took some getting used to, he said. You're facing straight out backwards, watching the scenery flash away from you faster and faster. Feeling your neck pulled forwards is almost the same sensation you would normally get under heavy braking. You're moving the steering wheel so gently, careful not to upset the balance, watching for your course and your braking point out near the rearview mirror, all the while keeping an eye on the speed. Despite it being almost completely unnatural to the way the car was engineered, Nevera breezed through yet another record. The $2.2 million Rimac Nevera is powered by 4 individual motors, giving it a total of 1,914 horsepower and 1,700 feet-pounds of torque. Driving forward, it's capable of 0 to 60 in just 1.7 seconds, 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds, and 0 to 200 in just under 11 seconds. It set a top speed record of 256 miles per hour, and its 120 kilowatt-hour battery is good for 350 miles of driving range. It's an incredible vehicle that you know we're only going to see more of as time moves on.